The sympathetic nervous system is just that fight or flight mode is killing us, is causing
Right.
all kinds of health issues and diseases.
Hello, and welcome to Medicine Wisdom. I'm Lena Franklin, modern medicine woman, transpersonal psychotherapist, and founder of the East Institute. Welcome to Medicine Wisdom, a radio talk show that will teach you that to journey inward is your highest calling, that you have the power to heal yourself. Your power and purpose exists within your medicine. Your medicine is the gift your soul came here to share with the world. And I am epically excited about today's guest, who is such truly a ray of wisdom and light, Elissa Goodman, integrative holistic nutritionist and best-selling author. She is just an embodiment of the truth that medicine comes through the food that we eat, that we ingest every day. And Elissa, I know we were chatting before we got on here live, and really loved getting brought back to the memory of connecting when we first connected at more live speaking events. Elissa and I were both speaking at a really beautiful wellness event in the Hamptons with the Purist magazine and with Attune, and connected through our dear friend Jenny Emblem. So welcome to the show. It's so amazing to see you again.
Oh my God, it's such an honor to be with you. The minute I met you and connected with you, there was a very, very strong bond.
Mhm.
And then I got to see you again after that event, just a few months later. But it has been a while and I have missed the connection.
Mhm.
But I just really felt so blessed and lucky to have met someone like yourself, and
Mm.
the things that you're putting out in the world and what you're doing for people is exceptional.
Thank you so much. And same to you. One of the things that I was so captured by initially, Elissa, was your story and how you truly healed yourself after a cancer diagnosis in your early 30s. And I want to just jump right into this wisdom and juiciness of really what brought you into the work that you're doing today. Can you share what all of that was like and how it really informed the work that you share today?
Yes. I mean, I kind of lived a crazy, hectic life like most people growing up, very fast paced, very driven. And I was always sick as a child. So for some reason, my immune system wasn't really strong. And, I'm 63. So years ago, no one knew about how to balance and strengthen an immune system. So I was always behind the eight ball. So mentally, emotionally, I was behind the eight ball, and physically, I didn't feel good. So I was always playing catch up. It culminated at 32 years old getting diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. And it was an early stage of cancer, but still it was super scary. And I realized, wow, at the time, when I got this diagnosis, something isn't going right. The way I'm running my life, the way I'm eating, the way I'm sleeping, the way I'm taking care of myself emotionally. I'm really not, how did I get, this is how I got cancer. One of the doctors that I went to see was so brilliant because he sat me down and he was way ahead of his time. It was 30 years ago. And he said, how are you emotionally? Are you happy? Are you stressed? What's going on? Are you passionate about your life? And I remember bursting into tears and being like, I don't know what that feels like. I've
Mm.
never even been asked those questions. I've never asked myself those questions. And that was such a huge turning point for me. I realized I wasn't happy because I didn't even know how to get there. I didn't have any peace or calm because I wasn't taught that growing up, so it was such a beautiful thing. And I went into therapy and I started doing yoga and I read every self-help book I could find. And I just tried to center myself. I mean, it took years, as you know, Lena. I mean, I'm still a work in progress, but I feel like all of that did help me heal. I didn't do the full Western medicine of what they wanted me to do. I did a portion of it, and I went into juicing and I went into being a vegan and eating a lot of plant foods. I wasn't the healthiest vegan because I didn't know how to do it in those days, but I really tried to do everything I could to get myself back together, physically and emotionally for the first time in my life. And I feel like I did do that. I went on to have two girls. I did have some health issues after the radiation for the Hodgkin's. I got hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's. I ended up getting celiac. So there were a lot of things I still was dealing with health-wise. But then my husband was diagnosed 11 and a half years later with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and he was 43 and a half. And he went the full Western route and ended up passing away of fungal pneumonia at 45. So that year and a half, I went back into a very stressed out, very disconnected place for myself, not eating well, not sleeping well, and living in a fight or flight mode. And then after he passed away, I was like, oh my God, I've got to figure out how to get myself back together again. And it took a couple of years to get my feet back on the ground, especially with the girls and figuring out what I was, how I was going to run my life. Because he was really the breadwinner. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to go back to work. And I have these two girls at home and they have parents who were both sick. But I ended up going back to school just to get certified in Eastern and Western medicine. And I didn't do it to become a nutritionist. I did it for myself and for the girls. I realized I need to know how to get healthy and strong. And I ended up devouring the course and loving it, and then got hired by a couple of restaurants in LA to put these food delivery programs together for them, which was really interesting. I just got thrown into this whole world very early on. That was 10 years ago. And I absolutely loved it. I held these cleansers. They did a cleanse for 5 days with a raw vegan restaurant or a macrobiotic restaurant that I was working with. And I got to find out about their ailments and health issues. And I'd worked with functional integrative doctors and naturopaths. And I became obsessed with it all.
Wow.
So that is how I ended up here. I'm so grateful because I absolutely love what I do. I love giving people hope like you do.
Yes.
There are easy things you can do to change your life that people might not know about, or they might already know about. They just need a reminder that where they can get to a place where they can really thrive and not just be in a survival mode.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing your story and your journey, because I truly believe our human journey is this roadmap guiding us into the work that we're meant to embody and to share. And that hope is so vital. There's so many access points into, we'll call it the house of hope and healing. And I love hearing, how your healing journey really stepped you into that. And I'm curious too, because what I'm also hearing, Elissa, is that you were willing to look at where you were out of alignment, which I think is such a key point to true, authentic healing and transformation. And I'm curious, what did that look like when you were looking at how you wanted to feel, and then the reality of your day to day, or the reality of your inner emotional landscape? What was that like for you to see yourself?
It was really awful, really, to say it like plainly. I mean, I was so out of alignment, and I didn't even have the 101 book to figure out how to get myself back, so it was scary, really, really scary. So it took a lot of courage to look at myself, and just a lot of also just giving myself grace, and just the not judging and not being so critical, not being such a perfectionist, which are all the things that I have been and still work on to this day. But it was a definitely long, very hard struggle to get out of that place. And then what really happened for me was 4 years ago, or maybe it's been 5 now, I got insomnia because I was working so hard and I pushed myself against the wall sort of, and I kind of collapsed. I was still in that, I went back into that workaholic mode, even though I was doing what I loved and I was preaching about being less stressed and better sleep and all of that. But I think I really stressed myself out and I got insomnia, and it was so bad. I couldn't figure out how to get myself out of it. And then I did a plant journey. It was psilocybin at the time. A friend had said, "Hey, let's just try this." And it had been a solid year of like not sleeping well and trying to figure it out with all my natural remedies. And I did the first psilocybin journey and I ended up sleeping again. And in
Wow.
that journey was so impactful because I saw my life unfold in front of me. Like I saw how hard I am on myself, how much I labeled myself a sick kid, how much I labeled myself that I wasn't good enough, or the fear that I felt that something else was going to come down the pike, that I was going to get sick again, or my girls were going to get sick, that I wasn't safe and the universe didn't have my back. And so in that journey, I saw all of those things. And then I saw the fact that the universe does have my back, that everything is going to be okay, that I could relax. And for the first time in my life, I could fully exhale.
Oh,
It was
wow.
so powerful.
Wow. So powerful. And there's so many roads I feel like we could take from here. I really appreciate you sharing that. Obviously, you know the depth of work that we share here at the East Institute with plant medicine and really honoring the way that these sacred plants and fungi can get us out of the box of our day-to-day default mode thinking. And
Right.
so you, as you shared, it's getting at those really deeply entrenched subconscious belief systems of whatever it is. I'm not safe. I'm not good enough. That unworthiness. And again, every choice we make is an act of creation with the universe. And so, really honoring you in your healing journey in all the ways, right? So, because we
Yeah.
ingest plants to, for our own nutrition and for our own biological survival and to thrive. And also we can for our own healing journey to see outside of ourselves. And so,
Right.
moving from there, as you embarked on your plant medicine journey, you were, really diving into your healing journey in different ways. What did that look like in terms of your conscious food choices, like for you and your own path? And I know it's different for everybody, so I just want to preface it with that. But for you, Elissa, what did that look like? What did your routine look like? What were you gravitating towards in terms of food?
It's interesting. I mean, it's different times of the year. Of course, in the summer, it is a lot more raw, fruits and vegetables. Maybe some cold juices. I still am. I'm a big juicer, so I would say that is one of my, foundations of what I do continually. Ever since I was diagnosed, I started juicing at 32 and done it off and on and really religiously for the last 8 years. I always do a green juice with cucumber and celery and lemon, ginger. It could be just simple like that. Or I throw in parsley, cilantro. I never put any fruit in it because it's too much sugar. So I think we get enough sugar in our diet. So I really am a big greens girl. Like, I think that's like my multivitamin and mineral when I drink that in the morning. I do put some extra little supplements in it, like some colostrum or collagen powder, and for the gut. So I do a lot of that as well. But I'm a 80% plant-based girl, so I would say 20% is animal protein, but I'm very plant forward. So lots of leafy, non-starchy vegetables. And then I would say like a quarter of my plate is starchy vegetables and a quarter is protein, is kind of like how I try to mostly live. It's a hard, most people don't do that because everybody is focused on protein and carbs. But I think that's what's given me really the vitality. Also, it's just loaded with vitamins and minerals and antioxidants and phytonutrients and prebiotics. I eat a lot of plant-based, like foods that are grown from the earth. a lot of
Yes.
legumes and beans. So I always make sure I have protein. But I also am, I'm not a strict vegan or vegetarian. I just feel like at some points I do need a little animal protein, especially at 63 years old. And, as I age, I
I
feel
just want to
like I
pause for those
need,
of you tuning in. I wish you could see the video of this woman. She is the pillar of youth here, glowing. But please continue.
thank you. Thank you. I do feel better than I did when I was 33, 32. So that is my goal, is to teach people, men and women, you can age and have more, energy, mental clarity, stamina, like just everything can be better. But yeah, I definitely feel I like to have a balance in my life,
Yeah.
and I will go out on the weekends and I will have some dairy or some gluten, and I don't do so well with it, but I will still eat. I will still have some alcohol. Lately that all hasn't been doing, I haven't been handling that very well, but I have everything in moderation.
Which I love. And I loved that approach that you really shared when I first met with you. And I was witnessing a little of your talk up in Sag Harbor in the Hamptons. And that moderation piece also, there's the way that you teach and the way that you share your work, it feels very intuitive. Like you're inviting someone to tap into what they're intuitively being guided to, with,
Right.
of course, some recommendations.
Right.
So does that feel like it's been a part of your journey, both, in your relationship with food, but also in your life, that you've really been able to up level your intuition?
Absolutely. I think that's so crucial because our intuition is everything. We were
Yeah.
born with this incredible intuition and then we lose sight of it. And to get it back is pretty powerful. I talk about that with all my clients and as well as myself. I mean, if I didn't do it myself, I probably couldn't help my clients do it as well. But I'm in tune with like all the supplements I take. I muscle test them. I talk to them. The
Love
food
it.
too. I definitely am very in tune with what I'm putting in my body and what works and what doesn't work. We all know what works and doesn't work. We all know what we're doing that is right and isn't right for us. It's if we do tune in, that's when the power comes into play in terms of like how powerful our body is and how much it can help us get to the place where we're looking to get quickly. I
Yeah.
mean, there's things that I recommend to clients, greens powder, and that I love, but then they'll have it and they'll be like, oh, I really hate the taste of
Yeah.
this. And I'm like, it's not going to work for you.
Right.
Definitely don't continue doing something that I recommend that you don't like the taste of, you don't feel like it's right. It is not going to work.
Right. Because there's an energy about how they're ingesting it, right? Is
Yeah.
it from a
Yeah.
place of this punitive place that I have to do this, which of course triggers some of our childhood trauma with food?
Yes.
Or is it from this place of gratitude and nourishment and really honoring that this is what you're choosing to really nourish and up level your body? I love that.
Yeah.
So for when you work with clients, Lissa, and you're talking to them about really tapping into their intuitive eating process, their conscious eating, and what that looks like day to day. Can you share more about some of those practices or tips and tools that our listeners can take home with them?
Yes. I'm a big proponent of hydration.
Mm.
So I think that we have a dehydration epidemic happening. We have all this beautiful water at our fingertips, but we're drinking it and we're just peeing it out. We're not really absorbing it. Our cells aren't absorbing it. So I feel like, minerals are what help the water go into your cells, not just sodium, but magnesium and manganese and potassium, all these beautiful zinc, all these beautiful minerals. So we don't have that in our soil and our food these days. And if we do, we're not absorbing them because we're not breaking down the food and absorbing it in our bodies. So this is a huge one for me. I have a hydrating powder that I give to everybody. Not everybody likes it, but most people do. It's called Ultima Replenisher. It has a really beautiful mix of like magnesium manganese, potassium, like the minerals, not just an electrolyte drink, but it has these beautiful minerals. So it helps the water go into your cells, and it really does energize you, and it gives you, mental clarity. It also is really incredible for your gut, because when you're dehydrated, your mucosal lining gets destroyed. We don't realize how much our gut gets destroyed with dehydration. Also, we don't go to the bathroom enough when we're dehydrated. And so that's really important for our body to detox. So hydration is crucial. Women need 90 ounces, men need over 100. And that it used to be half your body weight, but it's gone up in terms of the hydration, because we eat so many things that are dehydrating, like animal protein and cow dairy and over-the-counter medications and sugar and so on. So, or coffee even, we drink a lot of coffee. So we're very dehydrated. I am a stickler. Every client, when they wake up in the morning, needs to drink 2 cups of water, 16 ounces before they do anything. Lena, it's so crazy. People will call me and be like, that 16 ounces changed my life. I'm like,
I'm making mental notes. I'm making mental notes of what I'm going to start doing tomorrow. So, yes.
You paid me that much money to tell you to drink 2 cups of water when you wake up, because our body's been detoxing and cleansing in the night. So we are so dehydrated. Our organs are sort of prunish, and we go right to our coffee, or we go right to breakfast or our tea or whatever. So we've got to rehydrate, or we take our over-the-counter meds. So that is huge. And then staying hydrated throughout the day, that is so big for everybody, just to feel better, to feel back in their body, for the body to work the way it needs to, and to be able to push food through the intestines. And like I said earlier, to go to the bathroom, because going to the bathroom is the first line of, detoxing the body. That's the other thing, it's huge in terms of we're not going to the bathroom enough. Going to the bathroom once a day, fully eliminating, is considered constipated. So my clients don't like it when I tell them that, because they're so happy that they at least did that, for the day. But we're supposed to go 2 and 3 times a day, or after every meal. So fiber is huge. That's something that for some reason we don't talk enough about. And we're not getting enough fiber in our diet. So I really talk to them about, increasing their fiber intake with the plant-based foods, mostly chia seeds or the legumes and beans, and all the fruit, raspberries and blackberries and things that are high in fiber. So trying to get more fiber into their diet also, so they can really detox the body on a daily basis. And again, back to the plants, we don't get enough 8 to 10 cups of vegetables a day. So it's easy to get when you can do a juice. I also have clients who throw vegetables into a blender, so that they might not have a juicer, and it might be too much work for them. And they'll throw it into a blender and drink it that way, and the fiber's intact, which is a beautiful thing. Or they'll make some soups for the week. I have a soup cleanse in LA that I cook and deliver. So soup is a huge part of my routine. You put a ton of vegetables into a soup, and you're getting those cups of vegetables and getting those nutrients. So I would say hydration, fiber, getting the nutrients at a cellular level are really, really crucial. And not taking away the complex carbs, like carrots and beets and sweet potatoes and new potatoes and, wild rice and beautiful quinoa and beautiful things like that, because those are loaded with the minerals that we're talking about. They're helpful for hydration, and they're also super helpful to calm down the central nervous system, because we're all like operating in a fight or flight mode, mostly because, we're trying to get a lot done. And we're also just used to the fight or flight mode in our world. Right. And we need ways to calm down our central nervous system.
We're so aligned. That would beautiful segue into what was percolating for my next question is, yes, we are all in this perpetual state of sympathetic arousal, this fight or flight mode. And we've really, as a culture, which I feel that the work that moves through me and moves through you is really, we're really moving more towards this more yin, feminine, restful way of moving through life. And that is actually what's going to heal humanity and our earth. And so again, many access points into that parasympathetic dominant nervous system that we want to continue to cultivate. So share more. You just touched on it. What are some of those foods that can help us really calm and soothe our nervous systems?
Well, it is really taking away the caffeine out of our diet. So the coffee and the black teas or the chocolate. You can have a little bit of it because it can really wake up the senses, but we really do overdo it. And I feel like the complex carbs are just a beautiful thing for calming down that central nervous system. The hydration is really important, because when we're dehydrated, we go into a fight or flight mode because we start pumping out adrenaline and cortisol. There's also I love the adaptogens. I love, the ashwagandhas and even lion's mane and reishi and tulsi tea, holy basil. I drink tulsi tea all day long. Holy basil is one of the queen of adaptogens. So I feel like you want to regulate your stress response throughout the day. I think that's absolutely crucial. I think that the sympathetic nervous system is just that fight or flight mode is killing us, is causing all kinds of health issues and diseases. And it's also causing anxiety, depression, sleep issues. I mean, it's crazy. I know for a fact because I lived there most of my life. And the parasympathetic nervous system is where all the good stuff happens, the healing, the rest and digest. We're not digesting our food because we're living in the sympathetic nervous system. So even if I give you green juices and healthy soups and great salads, even on the cleanse, all these beautiful foods and great supplements. If you're not in that rest and digest mode, in that calmer place, you're really not going to reap the benefit of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that point that this is a lifestyle. It's really embracing your life as this living practice, this living meditation, taking time away from your phone, away from technology to calm your mind and ingest that beautiful food. And I even love holy basil, tulsi tea. That's something that I really, use and enjoy very much. And so can that be a mindfulness practice? I love the intersection of this food and energetics, right? Food is energy, and the energy you bring to it actually affects the way it processes in the body. And so can you continue to use that as a gratitude practice? I, use affirmation and mantra and prayer with my tea all the time, that when I ingest it, it's actually this act of self-love. So that energy of love is being poured into my system. So I love that you bring this up. We have to continue to cultivate the space to be in parasympathetic. It's the way in which we're relating to the food. You could have the most clean, delicious food, prepared for you, but unless you're really engaging in this harmonious, calm, grounded way, then
yes,
it's all for naught.
I feel like with the cleanse, we do a lot of that. We put a lot of love into the food. It's just I want people to feel that warmth, love, nutritious food, not just food that they're being handed, even though it tastes good and it's healthy. I really want that extra step for them. And you're right. I noticed for myself too, when I sit down for dinner with my fiance most nights and we sit at the table, with no electronics. And it's so crucial that we connect and that we enjoy our food. I kind of silently bless it because I think that he looks at me like, what are you doing over there? But sorry to say, hopefully he's not listening to this, but I'm kind of like, I always am trying to bless my food and get myself, calm and peace, in a sense of peace before I eat. It doesn't always happen, but that is where the good stuff happens.
That's right. Yeah. And for those tuning in, this is, we're human. So I think having a level of grace and self-compassion around, we're not perfect. And I know, Elissa, we connect on the recovering perfectionist wavelength because that was, most of my life.
Yeah.
And it's a complete reprogramming that happens every day. Every moment we choose to put the phone down and connect and be mindful with our food and what we're ingesting is a moment of reprogramming our nervous system, of reprogramming those subconscious beliefs that there's not enough time. It's actually a scarcity mindset that we are so immersed in. I really appreciate you highlighting, you're not just recommending these nutritious foods, but it's also what is the relationship you're having to your life?
Right. Right. And you want to have a better life. You want to feel good and more energy, and you want to really thrive. And it's not just about the food and the supplements. And, it really is so much more than that, as you know. I mean, it's all about the mindset. I know when I deal with my cancer clients, it's the mindset. I ask them, do you love yourself? Do you feel like you're going to be able to heal? Do you feel like you can get past this? What is your mindset here? And they all are in a pretty much of a scared place. And I have to tell you, all the women I talk to, when I say, do you love yourself? They say no.
Yeah.
I love my kids. I love my husband. I love my friends. But I'm like, but what about you?
Right.
That's also huge to touch on that. It's the energy that you bring to yourself with that self-love and self-compassion, and also that you really honor who you are with all the faults, with all the perfectionism. It's that relaxes the body and gets you into a calmer state. Because we always are going to have things we're dealing with on the outside. But if we can really believe in ourselves and know that we are whole ourselves, then that's where it's, that's where the healing takes place. With any illness, with any health issue, I feel like if we can get to that place of self-compassion, self-love, and self-honor, that's changed my life in every way.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, sisters, dear friend. And we're going to take a short break here, but stay tuned, because when we get back with incredible integrative holistic nutritionist Elissa Goodman, we're going to dive into the art of longevity, gut health, talk more about adaptogens, and so much more. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Medicine Wisdom. We are dropping in with the incredible Elissa Goodman, and she's guiding us through all of these pieces of wisdom and allowing us to really understand what it means to honor your body and to relate to food in a way that up-levels your energy and your capacity for healing. And Elissa, I know we were diving into the truth of we can cultivate more self-love and self-compassion. Really, that's the core of it all. And, I know in this conversation, we're specifically talking about our relationship to food. So as you continue to work with clients and you speak to groups of people, what are you seeing around we'll call it the growth areas that people have in terms of how they relate to food, and what do we need to, as a collective, as, the human family, need to do in order to have a healthier relationship with what we put in our bodies?
I think that we really need to pay more attention to what we are putting in our bodies. I think that the foods out there that are processed, which is so damaging for us, because the fillers and the gums and the natural flavorings and just all these chemicals that our body doesn't know what to do with. It doesn't know how to process these chemicals. The liver has to take them and turn them into a safe form to excrete them out of the body. So the liver is getting damaged, the gut's getting damaged, from the processed foods are really, really bad. So if we can think more about eating real food as more often than the processed food. The added sugars are crazy out of control. I always say that I tell this little story about you pick up a green juice and it's 16 ounces and it's healthy and it has a little apple in it, but it has 18 grams of added sugar. And then you might pick up a really healthy RX bar, that seems healthy too, all whole foods in it, but it has about 10 grams, 12 grams of sugar. Right there, you have more than 25 added grams of sugar that in the day, in one little sitting of a juice in a bar, maybe you're running, for breakfast. 25 grams is the most we're supposed to have of added sugar per day. So we are way over the added sugar, and sugar is making our cells acidic and is really destroying our gut microbiome. So that's a real issue. Cow dairy has become, it's hormone infested. There's a lot of antibiotics in it. So we're really ingesting all these hormones and antibiotics, and the cow dairy is really hard for us to break down. It's very inflammatory. Gluten has become an issue only because we overdo the gluten, and we're adding gluten to our breads and our foods because we're wanting them to be bigger and fluffier. So, we're eating a lot of foods that are inflammatory, that are not really healthy for us. And I think that it's doing such a disservice for all of us in regards to being able to be healthy and energized and thriving. We might be for the minute, might be satisfying us for a minute, but it's not long term. It's really doing damage to us. So going back to the basics of really trying to eat whole, real foods is huge. And also cooking more if we can. I know that can be really tricky for some people because their schedules are so hectic, but maybe meal prepping on the weekend a little bit and making some healthy things that they can have throughout the week. But it really is going back to trying to buy organic as much as possible, to not get the pesticides in our food, and trying to get clean animal protein when we are eating it, and just eating a lot more vegetables. The vegetables are where it's at. I mean, a lot of people haven't been brought up with tasty, yummy vegetables.
Right.
And they can be good.
Yes.
And they can be tasty.
Yes.
I'll just give a little tip on the vegetables. There is an herb salt out there. It's called Herbamare, Herbamare, I think it is. And you can just saute them, you can steam them, you can roast them and put this Herbamare on, and it makes the vegetables taste fantastic.
Oh, love that. Love that. Taking note. Lots of lots of notes happening here. So I'm curious because on a personal level, and I work a lot. We're in expansion mode here at the East Institute. We're expanding to different physical locations. So there's the scaling the business piece, and there's also being in client healing sessions and facilitating plant medicine ceremonies. So there's a lot of different aspects to the work. I'm noticing in my own system that, and I have no problem with vegetables. If Jeff were here, we would be having a different conversation, but I love vegetables. So that's really not an issue to get all of that in. I'm really noticing I'm craving more animal rather protein, and, even like more red meat or organ meats. So I'm wondering, from your perspective, what that may mean, and is that okay to continue to lean into that aspect of my nutritional rhythm?
Absolutely. I think that's a beautiful thing. You're in tune with your body.
Yeah.
So I think that a little organ meat, a little red meat, I think it's beautiful. I do the same. I do crave that as well. And I do give into it when that does happen. And I just try to go for the cleanest source possible, grass-fed burger, grass-fed steak, or every once in a while. It's definitely not going to be harmful. Again, moderation. Right? When we are craving something, our body is needing it.
Right.
And it probably is that you need the iron.
Right. Exactly. And I think too, there's such a reprogramming within our own belief systems that's happening around, if we're choosing to eat intuitively or consciously, or our body is really talking to us around certain foods, perhaps because we need certain vitamins and minerals, that we need to be willing to push past some of those old paradigms and belief systems about, red meat is bad for you, or you should eat this way, because it's so individualized.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I know so many vegans who aren't healthy vegans,
right?
Because and then a lot of people who are animal protein eaters who aren't healthy animal protein eaters.
Right.
So
Exactly.
there is somewhere in the middle. I think moderation is key. And also if you're a foodie, and I'm a foodie and I love food.
Oh yeah.
So I like to experiment and try new things. I don't want to be limited. I want to live my life, and I don't want to go over to a friend's house and I'm gluten-free, dairy-free, no animal protein. And they're like, what the heck am I going to cook for Elissa? And maybe we just won't have her over for dinner, So I definitely want to be more everything in moderation. And yeah, if I crave something, I think it does mean that we need it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's like this internal reference point versus being so rigid and those
Yeah.
external paradigms or rules. I think that piece is so key. And again, whether we're talking about healing our emotional systems or healing psychospiritually or our relationship with food, that internal sense of power, I feel is such a key component. Can we continue to cultivate that and really trust what our body is saying? So I want to
Yeah.
dive into the mood food connection. Also, if adaptogens also connect with this topic, I would love for you to share more because that's something that we're really interested in, and we recommend. Our clients are in this here at the East Institute, really in this deep reprogramming process, creating new novel neural pathways that support their human optimization, that sense of purpose and joy and sense of calm and connection, and releasing the more fear based paradigms and neural pathways that are based in trauma, based in ancestral dynamics. So, as we continue to collectively heal and up level our moods and our ways of being in the world, what are some of those foods or what are some things to think about in terms of how to nourish our bodies?
I would say, well, I would definitely say, the probiotic foods are kind of at the top of that list, because of the gut mind, connection. I think that our guts are very, very unhealthy. Even I think even mine, even though spend a lot of time and effort on it, it sometimes, at this age, I think I've done a lot of damage to it that it's not that healthy. So I'm a big, big believer in probiotic foods. I think that those are crucial. They're so incredible for your mood, not only your immune system, but and digestion, but just for your own balance of your mood. So there's some favorite foods of mine. One is Cocoyo, that probiotic yogurt. It's made by GTS Kombucha. There's a vanilla one that is to die for, and only 4 ounces of that yogurt is 100 billion food-based probiotics, which is exceptional. The whole thing is like 200 billion. I mean, you could eat the whole thing easily. I mean, it's so beautiful. There's a drink called Inner Eco probiotic, coconut kefir that is delicious, sold all over the country as well. Tempeh is one of my favorite, fermented foods with probiotics, sauerkraut, kimchi. So I think we don't really focus on, having those in our diet, on a daily basis or more often than not. I think that that's really crucial. I also feel like the adaptogens are just exceptional in terms of mood. I mean, we do an inner peace tonic on the cleanse, and it has cacao and reishi and a really clean almond milk with a little bit of cinnamon and stevia, a really clean stevia. And everybody just devours that inner peace tonic with the reishi. Reishi is a beautiful thing to calm the mind,
Yes.
just to kind of get you back in your body. There are so many adaptogens that I love. I love reishi. I love the holy basil. Like I said, I drink that all day long. I also love lion's mane, which is a new one sort of coming on, it's so incredible for like sort of giving your brain that energy that it needs, that cognitive, ability to just be a little bit more on target, just like, and
Mm-hmm.
also at the same time of calming it down. I love how lion's mane is just, it can help you focus, but it doesn't make you hyper.
Mm-hmm.
That's a beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Ashwagandha has been around forever. I'm someone that I've taken ashwagandha for years, and I've never really felt a difference, but a lot of people love ashwagandha in
Mm-hmm.
terms of, just keeping everything calm. I also love maca. Maca is a beautiful thing for women in hormones. It just really balances the hormones, and also can give you really beautiful energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, like, really dealing with your gut and making that healthy, and adding in some adaptogens. There's certain brands of adaptogens that I love, like Host Defense makes beautiful products. They make a great lion's mane. They make a great My Community with all different kinds of mushrooms in there. They make a great reishi, really super clean. And then there's also this product called Nui, Nue, does a focus supplement that's beautiful. That does have lion's mane and L-theanine and reishi and all these beautiful, and GABA in them. So there's some really great mood enhancing supplements on the market that aren't like going to make you really hyper or too energized.
Right.
We don't want that. We don't want the too much
Right.
energy.
Exactly.
We want the calm.
Exactly.
Right.
I
And then
love
we
that.
talked about the complex carbs of, making sure those are in your diet to calm down the central nervous system, and the minerals, things that, even taking a mineral supplement is always just beautiful. Body Ecology has a beautiful mineral supplement you can throw in water, and it's really very calming for the system.
Amazing. Amazing. And so for, especially, we are beginning to work more with reishi and lion's mane, especially as we work with psilocybin in different ways. So in terms of those products, do you recommend a powder? Do you recommend kind of what form does that take when you recommend it?
I do a little bit of both.
Okay.
So it depends on the person. So some people just want a capsule to keep it easy. And then others are better at experimenting with the powder.
Okay.
So we use a powder on the cleanse. It's a reishi powder. It's a reishi cacao combination. I think it's by Nutiva or Navitas, one of those. It's beautiful. Yeah. So I would say that there are like really, Sun Potion has some beautiful powders. You know them probably very well.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it just depends on the person.
Great.
But both of those reishi is just incredible. Helps for sleep.
Oh,
And I love lion's mane for the focus part.
absolutely. Love those two very much. So I want to shift a bit because you, my dear, I feel like are such just an inspirational embodiment of what longevity can look and feel like. And so for you, what have you really woven in to your regimen? And when you work with clients and one of their intentions or goals is to continue their longevity. I know that's a passion of yours. Let's dive into that topic because I know that's of interest to so many people tuning in.
Yeah, it really is these days. I mean, the amount of modalities out there to be able to turn back the clock are enormous these days. I mean, especially in LA. I'm sure they might be in Atlanta, but whoa, LA is, with Erewhon and all their beautiful products. And then we have ozone, which is, you oxygenate your blood. That also fantastic for turning back the clock. NAD, IVs that are happening to help the mitochondria with energy. I mean, there is so much, and there's hyperbaric chambers and infrared and cryo and cold plunge. And I mean, I feel like I've almost done it all.
Yes, all the things.
Right. So, but to put it really simply, what has been the biggest thing for me is I think that insomnia really did give me a bit of trauma. So I am so really regimented about my sleep. Sleep is huge in terms of turning back the clock. I mean, that's when you really rest, digest, heal, your body detoxes, your brain detoxes all through the night when you're sleeping. And we're not sleeping enough. Women need 8 to 10 hours of sleep. We have to restore our adrenals. Men don't need that much. They can get away with 6 to 7, but women need more, and we don't realize that. I think 8 hours seems like a ton and a luxury, but it really is our minimum to really get, the body thriving and working on all cylinders. So the sleep is huge, and the body resets between 10 and 2, and nobody goes to bed at 10 anymore, especially with Netflix and, Amazon Prime and everything that's out there. So but I'm just trying to get clients. Myself, I get to bed by 11. So I'm really strict about that. No phones. And I have no phones in my room, and I will get up on my own and I won't look at my phone for a little while. So the electronics really did kill me. So I would say sleep is just so crucial. If you get 8 hours of good sleep, you'll feel like $1,000,000. And then the body
Absolutely.
can really be able to do what it needs to do. It can digest, it can really detox. So, I mean, I think that in itself is huge. And then it really is, the moving your body, just getting that 10,000 step ins. You don't need to be working out like a crazy person or doing Barry's boot camp or spinning or, those things are great. I'm not saying they aren't, but just getting the body moving is absolutely so crucial. Walking and hiking or, getting the 10,000 steps in is really, really important. So, and there are some, supplements right now that are pretty stellar in turning back the clock. The NAD stuff is really, at the leading edge of giving people really, cellular metabolism, or cellular energy, basically, really uplifting all of that. There's definitely mitochondrial support, resveratrol. There's some beautiful things that can really help the body just up level and, get the cells working again. Also, intermittent fasting is another one that is fantastic for longevity. We all know about Prolong. It was designed by a scientist out of USC, which is really about cell autophagy, killing off bad cells and being able to have the new cells, reformulate in a healthy way. Intermittent fasting can do a little bit of that as well. When you take a time period and you don't eat and you just drink water. I don't really truly intermittent fast. I do the green juice, water, and a coffee, but you're not digesting your food, and it's a really great way also for your body and your digestive system to calm down and settle down and not have to be working so hard.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm so incredibly grateful for this conversation and your wisdom. So, in the last minute or so that we have, please share with our listeners how they can find you, connect with you, and connect with your work.
So, I am on Instagram. Can't believe how much I have to be on Instagram. Love-hate relationship. I don't know if you feel the same way, but, and then I have a website, elissagoodman.com. So I do a lot of there's a lot of information on there. I have a 7-day reset you can download that can actually it's sort of like my soup cleanse. There are a lot of great recipes. We're coming out with a new 7-day in the next few weeks. And I do a health tip and a recipe tip every week. So we're putting out a lot of information.
Great. Amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of our listeners for tuning into Medicine Wisdom. Remember, the world needs the gifts that only you have. And please tune in with us next week as we dive into human optimization and the neuroscience of plant medicine. Have a beautiful week.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Medicine Wisdom. If this episode resonated with you, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. If you're interested in learning more about this week's guest, be sure to check out the show notes below for the links. And don't forget to follow me on both Instagram and TikTok at I am Lena Franklin. Join me every Wednesday on my YouTube channel for new episodes of Medicine Wisdom. Aho Munai.